I got a whole new brawl account to prove that I am not actually a fraud and I am actually technically a sentient player, you know, regardless of what most people think about me. Alright? And the entire point is I need enough money to get my glorious queen, Hattori. So, wait a minute. If I'm going to do so, then I need to actually be online. But the issue is, right, I can't actually become online because of a few simple facts, right? Why's the music on? You're ruining my video. Alright, okay. This isn't very horrible, I know. But anyway, the topic of conversation for today is going to be one, the worst debaters who I've ever encountered, and two, why do flies exist. See, me and a good friend of mine, I say good friend loosely, he's very big, you know, and let's just say he's on the heavier side, right? We were trying to figure out and actually solve this issue of why do flies exist, right? And I know multiple people always like to preach, oh well, flies, everything has their own purpose, you know. Everyone is special in their own unique way, but the issue is no, literally no, they're not. There's nothing a fly does that a mosquito doesn't do, right? So if you really think about it, the fly it just does nothing for general society. All it's doing is just sitting there and ruining other people's days, alright? And like, I understand some people make it their entire they make it their entire goal on the daily to do that to others, but it still makes no sense why they exist. Like, think about it. What do flies do? They just sit there, they eat people's food, right? And I know certain individuals will be like, oh no, flies are calm, flies are so cool. Like, no, they aren't, right? Some people just like to be edgy and different, right? But that's not even the main thing I wanted to talk about today. It was literally the worst debaters I've ever encountered on the app, and I think I have a pretty solid list, right? So the first is going to have to be like okay, so I'm fine about that six spamming, but the first is gonna have to be Kage, right? Actually, not Kage, Sync, right? Sync with me. If you know who he is, he's a crosswords debater. Used to be what's it called? A Demon Slayer debater. He got beat out of the verse, right? So he stopped debating it, and now I'm pretty sure he's debating crosswords, and he's being Infinity's little son. I don't know how Infinity gets all of these sons, right? But aside from him, right, because think about it, he's the most mediocre debater that you ever actually encounter. Why am I going to hide it for the bot? But he might be the most mediocre debater you're going to ever encounter. He has zero rhetoric, zero argumentation. He really doesn't do anything right. And it's not even that I'm saying that to hate. Like, sometimes people are just so genuinely bad that you just have to take a moment and step back to actually appreciate how bad they are. It never really made sense to me how someone's skill can just be so low, so mediocre that they don't actually have any defining traits on them, right? The second is Kage. Kage has like slightly worse rhetoric than Sync, but he makes up for that for his like below average argumentation, right? So, whereas Sync's throughout argumentation is just bad. Kage's is only below average, right? And I say below average very loosely because the com has a very low, very very low average, right? But still, like, I think, give credit where credit is due. Kage has apparently had some very good feats. Word on the street is he's a cute little chaos slayer, right? Now, if he's out there beating on Gios, right, then not only does that put in perspective how bad Gios is, so, right, but there's also just, it puts into perspective how, like, bad the other debaters are in comparison, right, if you really think about it. Like, okay, he's trying to distance Mogme, but, like, it's supposed to be a big good old feat for beating Gios, when Gios is not only he's no longer in his prime, he doesn't debate as actively, he isn't debating as good people. Like, think about it. Back in the day, he was debating the Troya. Now who's he debating? He's debating Sync with me. Like, I'm about to die. Okay, yeah. But now he's debating Sync with me, right? It's really, Why do you do that? But the bar for who's considered good and what else? Who's considered good? Who's considered bad? Has really, really gone down recently. I don't know any canon combos. What's going on? But aside from things of that nature, and Kage's immense skill downsize, word on the streets he's also like beaten like Synth, and I really doubt this because everyone says they beat Synth, but like barely any of the time do people actually beat him or her. I don't really know. I've never really bothered to ask, and the okay, yeah, I've never really been bothered to ask, and really, it doesn't really matter anyway, does it? It doesn't really matter, right? But him or her, him, he just barely. I think the reason as to why most people say that they beat him, even though they really didn't, is just because they dislike something. It's like, okay, cool. It's not hard to dislike somebody. I dislike loads of people on this app, right? But it's not hard to dislike them. But still, you also need to give credit where credit is due, right? Synth, regardless of all their downsides, is actually a good debater, right? So you can't really say, oh well, just because you don't like you or him, you're going to now use him as a fee. Like it doesn't. It's never really made sense to me, alright? And it will continue to never make sense to me until someone actually gives me an actual competent reason as to why she's back. But yeah, Kage has those feats. Aside from those, he's like really, really bad. I've debated him personally, and I'm pretty sure one of my other really more popular videos is me asking him to define irony, and he was unable to. But apparently he's gotten way better since then. He's been losing to randoms though, so it's like people always say they got better. That's also another issue I'd like to talk about. People always say they got better at everything, right? You take time off something, you expect yourself to have improved somewhat. But most of the time, most people don't actually improve. All they've done is learn something new, right? And even though yes, knowledge does play a part onto oh how good you are like whatever you're doing, right? It's still, unless you're able to properly apply said knowledge, then it's like it really becomes trivial, doesn't it? Like it becomes something that sure nobody's going to deny that you do or do not have knowledge, right? But still, people are going to deny that you're good, right? For example, a good case of this is people who like to say people like Apollo, right? They say he's not good, right? And even though I'm not going to speak on any claims they make about Apollo, I'm going to keep my personal opinions about the guy outside of this video. Psych, I don't think he's good, right? But I think he's just a jargon merchant, to be fair. But people just like to say that, oh, well, he's, what's it called? He's good, right? Or he's the best. And then every time Apollo takes a break off the app, he's always like, oh yeah, I've gotten way better. I'd completely know the version of myself before I went on a break. And it's like, could you really know the version of yourself that it was before this break? Or really, is it just that you learn a new word or you learned a new set of words, and you think that just because like you've learned these new words, you're now better, way better than you were before? Which is it might be contextual, but still I don't think it really works, and I don't think it really factors into how good you are at actually doing anything. But next on the list, aside from Kage and Sync, right, two of the worst debaters I know, right? Who else would actually fit on that list? I can't say D1 because like look, D1, like I think debating him, getting in beef with him, like all of that should just be counted as a phase for most debaters. Like everyone's gone through the phase before. They constantly debate D1, they have their little beef with them, and then most people don't really consider D1 as good. So if you go into a server now, you're like, oh well, I beat D1, I'm good, give me tier 3. It's like, okay, you beat D1, okay, and everyone's already debated this guy. D1 debates have become so oversaturated now that it's like they've lost all their meaning. You know what I mean? Like even you could genuinely lose to D1, but nobody would believe it, right? Because not only do so many people just dislike D1, and I'm not saying that like he hasn't given them a good reason to. Idiot, I was baiting him to do that the entire time, but it's not like the D1 hasn't given them a good reason to dislike him. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, are we going to actually like give D1 his credit? Like I can name multiple debates that I think D1 did good. And why am I have to scratch my nose in the middle of a match with a hard ball? But I can name multiple debates I think D1 did good, and I'm obviously not going to name them because that's kind of knees, right? I think that'd be kind of discardy-ish if I just started naming his feats like I'm a fan, but he did decently well against Error, right? And granted, I don't think Error is good, but okay, so he's just not going to engage with me. Look. Okay, he caught me with that one, I guess, but I guess he's like, I think he did decently. I hate this game. I hate this game. Is that his plan? Is that the strat? Yeah, but I think he did decently well against Error, right? And it's like, no one can really take that away from him, regardless of how much they dislike him or how much they like him, right? He does have some very good performances, right? But I choose to leave him off most of my tier lists whenever I am making them, because it's like, his feats are so, nobody is going to actually accept them, and I doubt anyone is going to willingly watch D1 debate of their own free will, right? Not specifically because like D1 is intolerable in himself. I think I've had multiple decent conversations with D1 in the past, right? But it's like, at the same time, this is a new character, by the way. I've never used him before. But at the same time, D1 just hangs up with some very intolerable people like Sonic. And oh my gosh, I can't stand Sonic. Like, he's literally just an very, very advanced D1 goon. Like, I guess some people think he's good because, oh, well, he's read a few fill papers, right? And he thinks he's now the man. But he really isn't, like, he isn't anything special. Like, he's just the average D1 goon, right? That people have hyped up and they think he's good now. I don't think I've seen anyone who's actually hyped him up and be like, oh yeah, this Sonic guy is really competent. You should listen to what he says, bro. It's like, no, all he does is he's just a loser, and he's basically just another talking merchant. Ooh, that's actually really sick design, but he's basically just another talking merchant. This SIG is so broken, bro. You need to take this guy out of the game. Like, but yeah, all he does is basically just overtalk his opponent, and it's like, sure, in some cases that could be rhetorically appealing. I guess in situations where the opponent just isn't answering any of your questions, that could be something that gives you some form of rhetorical advantage. But it's like, it's not even that in most cases. Most cases, he's just doing it to be rude and be annoying and be just like overall obnoxious. And it's like, dude, it's a Discord debate. Do you really have to? I think right now he's going through his phase of, oh yeah, I don't care about what anyone in the com thinks. I'm my own man. I'm special. Nobody knows what feats I have, and it's like, okay, cool, I guess. Right? Nobody knows what feats you have because you aren't really debating anyone, right? And then I check servers like Luminara, which is kind of where most people, the entry level philosophy server, if you want to actually start debating it properly. And he's just ranked as a B tier there. And the way he talks, he'd be like, as if he was ranked very, very highly. But he isn't actually ranked very, very highly. He's just ranked as basically a nobody. It's kind of embarrassing to me, but... Oh, wow, she's kind of cooking me. I want to see if I can win this game with only 6, but... Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, really, to be fair. Like, oh, even if he thinks he's way better than he is. I think that's my own personal experience with him. Like, but hey, he might be cold. I haven't actually watched him debate in a while. I've heard but very, very bad things about him. So, I mean, who am I to deny the law? Am I right? Who am I? Like, apparently he has some law on beating forks, but it's like everyone can say they're beating forks. Doubt that many of them actually have. Oh, this SIG, okay, dude, why? Okay. Yeah, no, she kind of cooked me. No, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. She kind of cooked me. I did more damage, though. No, I didn't. Yo, she stunned me. I should be online again. What's going on? I'm gonna try and close and reopen the app. What's going on? But I generally don't find people like him very impressive. He isn't anything special, anything I haven't seen before. He's just, the run of the mill Discordian, if you get what I mean. But on the next person on my list of top 10, no, top 5 debaters, worst ones that I've actually seen so far, we have Auden. Alright. Well, I won't say he's the worst, right? He's alright. I guess people in his friend group obviously think that he's like the best. He's God's gift to debating. He and Jester are just like, really in each other's, holes, you know what I mean? But it's like, aside from that whole group, nobody really thinks he's good, and I've debated him like multiple times, and he doesn't really excel in anything. He doesn't excel in knowledge. He doesn't excel in argumentation, and I guess you can say his rhetoric is decent at best, but most people don't even think that if they aren't already his friends, if you get what I mean, right? It's kind of odd. I try my hardest not to talk about him, but it's like, okay, even if I don't talk about him, if I'm trying to make a list about the worst debaters, it'd kind of be dishonest if I didn't add him on there. He's clearly cemented his position there, if you get what I mean, right? You know, he's very big on the, oh, you need to do certain things to win and be better than someone else. So if you beat him and it isn't how he likes, he's just gonna call it a technicality. So it's not really a feat. But I mean, I guess you could try and claim that for certain cases. But obviously nobody's going to share that view, if they're actually coaching and actually competent. I heard he lost to Kage, someone who is lower than him on this list, right? In a JJK debate, which is all he's been doing recently, right? So if he's losing to people like that, right, then who else could he possibly be losing to? He just sounds like he's a bit overrated, right? He's a bit, too big for his boots, if you get what I mean, you know what I mean? Them boys out of the way, Auden out of the way. He had a thing with Jester where he quote unquote swapped hands with Jester on MCU. But like, one, nobody nobody ranks Jester off of MCU. Who is Jester even being on MCU? You can name it on one hand, okay, he's quote unquote beaten open. No, he did not, right? And that's it. You literally run out of people, right? Okay, he beat Haikyuu. How good's Haikyuu? Like, it's the same as a 6 versus Arrow situation. Like, sure, Jester's debated all of these people, right? But nobody knows who these people are. So it's really like kind of odd. But most comm servers have been dying very semi-recently, and I think the main reason for that is, one, because people are more comfortable staying in private servers where they can enjoy their time, right, without actually having to be gooned by Sakazuki, right, to make 1,000 messages every day for a week and then just to get staff, right, stuff like that. I think that's one of the main reasons as to why people are just forced to leave the com. The second thing is just that, like, some people in the community are really weird. Like, I get the community had a real big doxing problem in the past. I know, like, Apollo used to have like these servers back in like 2020, I think. Gosh, that was 4 years ago. 2020, 29, 20, like 21. Back in those type of days, he'd always make a server. It'd be good for a solid month, right? And then it just get nuked immediately by these random people. This one, token login, was introduced into the community. It's like most people don't really want to be associated with places like that, if you know what I mean. Most people don't want to be at risk of getting their information just stolen from them just because they said something rude to Discord user like 1125 in the casual conversation, and then boom bang, all of his life is over. Actually, it's never really made sense to me, you know what I mean? But as of current day, I don't think it's really a big issue, I think most people try to overhype these type of issues. I don't I don't really think that doxing is a problem anymore. Nobody really seems to do it. I think people have been less, you know, people seem to be less tolerating of issues like that in those type of situations. Ooh, CCX. Okay, I know. I'm trying to connect this to my. I'm trying to connect this to my controller. I don't want to play on PC because who really plays Brawlhalla on PC? But um, yeah, there used to be a big doxing issue. It really hasn't been a big problem anymore as of recent. So whenever I see people be like, "Oh no, the karma is so scary," right? What if you get doxed? What if you get doxed? It's like, okay, dude, nobody's trying to dox you. Like nobody's trying to do any of that. Right? You're literally just a side character if you really think about it. Right? No, I don't think it's that much of a problem. I think most people are just trying to overhype it and, force the issue, just as a reason to leave. And it's like, okay, that's cool. You cannot want to associate with it anymore. But at the same time, that's also one of the main reasons why I upload older debates, right? Because most people look at that, and most people, like the way I at least got into like wanting to vigorously argue with people on Discord. Not vigorously, but you get what I mean. The way I actually got like introduced into this community is was watching I was watching Six versus Era, and it's like that's the same way multiple other people probably get into the community. Like people see other people argue and they're like, "Ooh, these guys are really cool," right? And they want to get a part of this too. You know what I mean? So it's like that's why I upload all of those debates. You know what I mean? Like that's the more rational option. I think the way to make a community more active is to get people like Aeroflame. And even if I don't think like people like him are very good, right? The entire reason why communities like this flourish is because there's like one main face or two main faces, right, that everyone can recognize, right? And they're just so popular that everyone's just like when they think of arguing, they think of this guy. Whenever they think of debating, they think of this guy, right? And it's like this person doesn't particularly need to be good, but they need to have a presence. If you get what I mean, like Era didn't need to be good to have a presence. So yeah, there's that. Wait a minute, what's her down sig? I forgot. Oh, it's this. That makes no sense. Look, why is that sig so big? But I've never really found. I think it's possible to revive communities like this one, right? I think it would be possible, of course, right? But it still wouldn't make much sense if unless there's like any significant changes to how people debate, how people behave in the community. Most people won't actually want to associate with it anymore. Because I get debating is like changed since the times of old, right? Where they didn't know what certain, terms were, right? But still, it seems too similar. People still like engage too much in the oh, I can talk louder than you, so I have to be winning. I'm more assertive, right? My rhetoric is just so impeccable. My rhetoric is magnanimous, right? Like literally, I think people engage in that way too often, right? Instead of actually just focusing more on the substance of what's being argued, right? You know what I mean? Like those type of things never really found them to be quite appealing. It doesn't seem very fun to me, you know? Like, arguing like that isn't fun. Like, even if you aren't going to, like, convince your opponent, it's at least still more fun if you just speak to each other like regular individuals. Like, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with spurging on that. Like, in certain contexts where it's like, okay, well, you're really going there, you know what I mean? Like, you're really just trying to dominate this other individual in the domain of discourse, right? Oh wow, I'm dying to frauds. Wait, I'm a fraud. Wait, I suck. Wait, I need to quit the game now. Like, what's going on? But you know, it's like I get situations like that where you're trying to rhetorically dominate someone, so you kind of lose your head a little and start like spurging. But it's like, dude, if you do that like just every single time you want to get into an argument, it's just not going to be fun anymore. Like, it's just not gonna be as fun. It's not gonna be beneficial. People won't get better. Like, that's another issue as to why people like comms dies, because people don't want to get better. They think they're doing like, I guess you can say it's like it's just debating, so it doesn't really matter too much, right? But if you're going like, think about it, all of these people who are on code have probably devoted loads of time in their life, right, to just learning stuff on how to argue, learning how to properly, just go at it and get in there with their opponent, right? And if they did all of that and they still weren't any good at it, it'd kind of be a waste of their time. I hope everyone can share that perspective, right? Like, you'd be wasting their time to just do all of that and not actually be any good at it. It makes no sense, you know what I mean? Isn't this game just great? How my opponent can just throw the same attack 62 times in a row and then, just absolutely neg me. Where I can one tap her. Wait, okay. He's kind of cooking, man. No bap. Second, decent, but not good enough. I just need the coins for Hattori again so I can, you know, get my full power back. So I can get my swagger back. But, again, this still isn't really addressing the main issue of why I have an immense hatred for flies, but I think I've dragged that topic out long enough because I think nobody really with a sentient mind will actually be able to understand this. Also, something I have noticed is that more people are getting into philosophy. More people are starting to debate the same one topic. Really, it's not too different. It's just like most people just try and affirm certain topics and they know nothing about them, and all they know is just the one topic or the one argument that Infinity taught them, which is the same philosophy of mind. It's the same stuff every debate. It's like, oh, if the mind was immaterial, seemingly entails atemporal causation. Atemporal causation seems logically impossible. Therefore, the standard that like most people don't actually know why half of these premises are true. So it's like, are you really debating it to learn, or are you just doing it because the argument sounds cool to you and you want to impress another debater? Like, looking up to other people on Discord, like, I might insult you and call you corny for it, but it's like, it's natural. At least I think it should be, at least in the slightest bit, natural. If someone knows more than you, if someone is rhetorically better than you, right, it's natural for you to like look up to those type of people, right? But then it goes from one point from looking up to them to absolutely fantasizing about them, and literally every statement you make is just a carbon copy of what the other person has said once in the past. Like, it not only does it remove uniqueness, right, from Momosiko, it removes uniqueness in arguments, and it also removes uniqueness in refutations, right, where all you need to do is say the same thing and then you win, right, and everyone just keeps saying the same thing, so you don't need to really say much else, right? So since you don't need to say much else, you don't actually improve because you're just repeating the same words over and over again that they become second nature to you. And that's how people like just never improve ever. Like, and instead of improving, you know what they do? They go into this is let me explain to you the mindset of the average quote unquote philosophy of mind debater, right? They go into Infinity DMs. They go into Infinity DMs. They watch one Infinity debate, or even that, yeah, they watch one Infinity debate. They see his argument. They see, oh, he probably won the debate, right? Alright, yeah, let's assume that he probably won whatever debate he had, right? And then since they see he won, they decide, oh, well, his argument sounds cool. I'm going to use that. And then they use it over and over again. And then they just never change it, right? And those are the type of things that just, remove uniqueness whenever people are talking. And whenever people are arguing. But I think I've said enough, to be fair. Like video, like, subscribe. Let's spend my daily rant. That's it.